Today I actually wanted to make a video of showing you guys how to paint a chair and reupholster it like for a dining room table. But it is so rainy here in Arkansas right now and it's cold outside. So I decided to change things up and show you guys how I make my strawberry jam. I actually had a request for this, so here it is. This jam is so delicious. It's actually lower sugar than what you will find in the store. It's comparable to those low sugar brands of jelly or jam that you find in the store. It has very few ingredients. It's really fun to make with kids. And we have Valentine's Day coming up pretty soon, and you could pass it out for Valentine's Day because it's very cute and pink. You can decorate the jars with little hearts or Valentines. And it's also great to make for Christmas. That's actually what I usually make it for. And so being after Christmas, I just passed this out and everybody loved it. They said they could eat it with a spoon. So let me get started and I'll show you my secret tips for how I make the best strawberry jam. First, let's go over all the ingredients because once we get started making this jam, it's really hard to stop and do something else. So I like to have everything ready, everything laid out. That means my jars here are already sterilized. I love these strawberry jars. I got these at Atwood's. They're just like a 13.5 ounce jar that literally looks like a strawberry. So when you put strawberry jam in here, they're adorable. I also like to use these 6 ounce ball jars. These are the perfect size. This jam is going to last for up to 2 years on your shelf. So I like to pull these out, put one in the refrigerator at a time, and so these work as well too. But I like both ways. Then we have frozen strawberries. I know you're gonna see so many videos out there where they're gonna be using fresh strawberries, but I love using frozen strawberries. They are so fast. You pull them out of the freezer. This is a 4-pound bag of frozen strawberries, and they're the sliced so that I can get them to defrost faster. And that's what I like to use because I make this right before Christmas. You cannot find great fresh strawberries all the time. If you want to use fresh strawberries, that's perfectly fine. We've got probably 10 cups in here of sliced strawberries. So just do about the same amount. The weight might not be quite the same. We've also got 4 cups of sugar. We've got this low sugar pectin that we're going to use. Now, if you want to use the full sugar pectin, you're gonna use twice as much sugar, but I like to use the lower sugar, and this is not the recipe that will be on the back of the box. This is actually like my own custom recipe that I've done. I use more fruit because I like my jam to be a little bit softer. And then we're also going to use the juice of 2 lemons. So let's go ahead and get these lemons ready. I like to use fresh lemon juice with everything that I put lemon juice in because it doesn't take that much time, but the flavor is just so much better. Now let's take all these ingredients and I'll show you which order to add them. First, we're gonna take this whole bowl of strawberries. Remember, this is 10 cups or 4 pounds. If you're using the frozen strawberries, you want to let them thaw out on your counter, maybe for 30 or 45 minutes. Let's get this started. I like this to be on medium heat, and this is actually a pastry cutter, but for the frozen sliced strawberries, this is what I found is the best tool to use. And we're just going to start smashing these up. Okay, so we started smashing up those strawberries. This is going to be your choice whether you want them to be like really finely smashed so that your jam is very consistent and smooth, or if you want your strawberries to be chunkier in your jam. I like a little bit of like strawberry chunks in my jam, but that's up to you. Now we're gonna add our 2 juices of lemon. We're gonna save our sugar for the end and just continue mashing. Once we see that our strawberries are starting to release the juice, we're gonna take this whole package of pectin that I showed you earlier. This is the low sugar variety. And we're just gonna sprinkle this on top evenly. And then I also like to use this potato masher. And I'm going to just start to mix that in. Make sure that your strawberries don't get too warm while you're incorporating this. And then once you get it all incorporated, we can turn the heat back up because we actually want to bring this to a boil. Once your pot of jam is at a full boil where you see bubbles everywhere, we are ready for our next step. And this is where I add, it's not so much a secret, a lot of people who make jam know this, but I'm actually going to add 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm gonna mix that in. What that is gonna do is once we add our sugar, towards the end, we're going to have a lot of foam that's going to be on the top of our jam, and that butter actually helps us be able to skim that off. So we're just gonna mix this in, let that little pat of butter completely dissolve. Your jam should be very soupy at this point. Now let's add, this is 4 cups of sugar. And this is probably going to make your jam stop bubbling at this point. And that's what we want. Make sure to mix this really, really well. We don't want any clumps of sugar. All right, oh, I saw a clump of sugar. Now our jam has kind of died back down. It's not boiling anymore, and we're so close to the end. The next time we see it boil, then we're ready. Our jam is done. It'll set up, and so then we're gonna be moving it to our jars. If you don't have your jars set up at this point, go ahead and take this last opportunity to set your jars up. Make sure you have a towel nearby, and make sure you have your ladle so that we can spoon our jam into the jars, and make sure you have a funnel so that you don't spill it all around the edges. Our jam is so close to being ready. Now you can see what I'm talking about with this foam that's on the top that I can kind of scrape to the sides. The butter that we added actually helps that separate from the rest of the jam. You can see this is our jam down here with our strawberry chunks. Just continue to stir this constantly so that you don't get anything that burns on the bottom. Make sure you're scraping the sides. And this is really close to a boil. And then we'll be able to put it into our jars. Now our jam is at a full boil. At this point, go ahead and turn your heat off. Stir it a little bit, and we're gonna start, do you see this like foamy, pink looking stuff on the top? This is going to happen with every jam. We're just going to lightly scrape this to the side, kind of cluster it all together. And then I have a bowl back here that I scrape it off, and I try to not get the jam, and then I kind of just put that aside. This is a little bit tricky. Don't worry, it's not gonna hurt you if you eat the foam. It just makes your jam look nicer when you open the jar if you don't have this foam at the top. So try to get as much as you can, and then once we start dishing it into the jars, we're gonna try to work around the foam that we see so that we can avoid it. Now this is the final step. It's really simple. I like to do 1 jar at a time because these jars are gonna get so hot, you're not gonna be able to handle them for like the next 30 to 45 minutes. So what we're gonna do is take our jar, make sure there's no water or anything around the top so that we can get a good seal. Put your funnel in, and then just start to spoon the jam slowly and neatly into the jars. Make sure that we leave about a centimeter at the top. I go ahead and put that in the next jar. Make sure that this here is completely dry and clean. And then it's gonna be warm, but just try to tighten it as much as you can with your hands. And then we'll set that aside. I'm just gonna continue filling the rest of these and I'll pick back up with you once I'm done. Okay, now our next step is to make sure that all of our jams seal properly. They all have like this little bubble in the top, and right now they're all still pushing back on me like a little push button. Over the next hour, since these are all hot, just set them aside on your countertop and the heat is going to draw them in. Once you can no longer push this bubble, that means they're sealed. They're going to last for up to 2 years on your pantry shelf. And so you have jam for a long time. Once you're ready to use one, just pull one out of your pantry, put it in your refrigerator, and you've got amazing jam for peanut butter and jelly, butter and jam on toast. I'm telling you, people tell me all the time they love to eat this with a spoon. So you are ready to go. The last thing I'm gonna show you is how I like to decorate some of my jars. If you wanna give these out as little Valentines, that would be amazing. I'm sure your friends would absolutely love it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching this video with the House of Barnes.